Story 1. Am I the booty hole for asking my brother not to bring his boyfriend to my wedding? Okay, this is the worst. I'm losing sleep over this. I'm getting married in a week to an awesome woman, and I cannot wait to be her husband. We are so excited. My brother is gay, but my family doesn't know. Only me and my parents know. I come from a very old school traditional family, so the old part of the family, grandparents and some aunts and uncles, still have last century's mind. And the younger portion, cousins and siblings, are open-minded and are living in the present. So my brother has been dating his boyfriend for 6 months now. The dude is great. I'm so happy my brother found a great guy, but it's kind of a secret, as he hasn't told my family he's gay. I've been telling him for years that he should come out, cause I know it stresses him a lot, and I think it will make him feel better not to hide anymore. Plus, I bet a few family members already know anyway. But he disagrees because he knows a part of the family won't accept it, and it will be a lot of drama. I see the opposite. I see it as the sooner you know who the idiots are, the sooner we can cut them from our lives. I have no interest in having someone in my life that doesn't accept my brother being gay. Anyway, that's his decision, not mine. So for now, he won't say anything. Until a few weeks ago, when he said he wanted to bring his boyfriend to my wedding. I was not expecting that, to be honest. So he went from 0 to 100 pretty fast. If it was any other occasion, I would be supportive, obviously, but I don't think my wedding day is the day to do that. Imagine all the drama and gossip and BS that would happen, and I don't want to get the attention away from my fiance. That's her day, and I don't want to have to worry about that on my wedding day, and I think it's a pretty good reason. I asked him why my wedding day, and he said it's because he wants to celebrate love with the two people he loves the most, me and his boyfriend. This is killing me. I would fight my whole family for my brother and never speak to them again if I had to, but my wedding day is supposed to be a celebration, not a family fight, and I can't do this to my wife. That might ruin our future. I didn't even tell her. She's already stressed out. I don't want to make it even worse. With a heavy heart, I asked him to please come alone to the wedding and that I hope he understands me. He started crying and left my house without saying anything. The next day, I got a text and he said, "Don't worry, going alone." I tried calling him, but he didn't answer me, and my parents don't seem to know what's happening because they didn't say anything. He eventually called me back a few days later. We spoke, and he said he understands my side, but things are still weird between us. This is the worst situation of my life. Am I the butthole for handling it the way that I did? Ooh, this is a bit of a trickier one than usual. Mostly when it's wedding, am I the a-hole questions, it's typically either bridezilla, you are the a-hole, or groomzilla, you're the a-hole, or no, they're in the right because they can have whatever they want, it's their wedding, and they're not hurting anybody. But this is a hazy in-between kind of scenario where I can understand both sides have completely valid points. I am going to say that the OP is not the a-hole in this situation because of the way that he went about it. He understands his brother's side as well, but ultimately I do think that the wedding, it's for the groom and the bride. It's meant to be a celebration. No one's meant to steal the thunder. And although that's not what the brother is trying to do, there is the potential that it could if the extended family members make all this drama about it. So there is that risk. I can understand why it's a tough decision to make because the brothers love each other and it should be a day of celebration of love, even beyond the broom and the bride, the bride and the groom. It should be a celebration of love for everybody, and it would be awesome if the brother and his boyfriend could come and enjoy the night together and share a romantic evening together as a couple. But I also think because the brother hasn't decided to come out yet, and that's an extremely tough decision to make as well, that he probably understands the groom side of it all as well. So I'm glad that they came to an agreement in the end. It still hurts though that they can't all be together as one family the way that they're meant to be. Hopefully at some point in the near future, they can find an appropriate time to for the brother to come out, and I'm also hoping that the extended family is more accepting of this than OP seems to think they will be, but the wedding night is not really the time to take that chance. So yeah, tough call on this one, but I think the OP made the right decision, and he did it in a tactful way with sympathy and love, and he is not the a-hole. Story 2. Doctor's office keeps telling my mom my test results without my permission. Background: my mom worked at a very small hospital in a very small town for over 30 years and is close to most of the doctors, nurses, and office workers, not only in the hospital, but around the whole town as well. My general practitioner, who I've seen since I was about 10 years old, is one of them my mother is close with. I moved away for college when I was 18, but continued seeing him due to just not wanting to mess with finding a new GP, and my mom wanting me to continue seeing him since I've seen him half my life. I get routine blood work done to measure how my liver is doing, as well as monitor the levels of a certain medication I take to make sure that I'm not getting too little or too much. The results of this information, or the fact that I have those tests done, isn't a big secret I want to keep. They don't really mean anything unless I were to become sick, and they don't test for information like, say, illicit drugs. The first time I had this work done, I hadn't been to that doctor in a while to really remember if this had happened in the past, but they called my mom with my results. They even told her specifics, like what my liver enzymes were and what exact milligram, milliliter the medication level was. Again, it's not like my mother. This is something I want to hide, but it was a little concerning that she got the call and I never received any call about my results. I go in for these monthly, so the next month that I went in, I told the woman working in the lab of the office that I wanted to update my information to make sure I got the results. I thought also, since I had been seeing this doctor since I was 10, I probably had never given them my phone number. A few days later, my mother again got the call and called to tell me my results. I again go into the office. Once again, I got no call from them. Not a big deal, but since this happened when I explicitly gave my phone number in place of my mother's, I was a little tipped off that I wasn't called again. I chose to wait until my next lab work to say anything again anyway. At this visit, I had both lab work and an appointment to get a refill on birth control. He asked me to do a pregnancy test with this blood work due to me running out of said birth control a few days earlier. I wasn't worried that I was pregnant, but I knew that now it was time to make them stop calling my mom with my results. I asked the lady drawing my blood to confirm my phone number to see if it even got put in last time. It did, so on my way out, I stopped to talk to the woman who always work in the office at the desk and tell them explicitly that I, and I alone, want to be called for my results, not my mother. They nonchalantly agreed, and I asked them to check my phone number on the system they use in the office, and it was there. I happened to be visiting in town during this time and staying with my mom, who, you guessed it, got the phone call right in front of me telling her my results, including the negative pregnancy test. My mom blew up at me, asking why I needed to take a pregnancy test. I didn't think this was a big deal, especially since it was negative. That all blew over, but at this point, I was angry that she kept getting this information. I ended up getting into it with my mom, telling her that that was a direct breach of HIPAA, and she knows it after working in a hospital. She laughed it off and said something about the doctor knowing me since I was born, her being friends with the office ladies and the doctor, and the one that hit me the most, it's not a big deal, I'm your mom. Since then, I've been getting my lab work done elsewhere. To no surprise, there are no issues. I don't really know what to do here. Since I cut ties with the doctor, I no longer have personal problems with this, but I'm sure other people do without even knowing it. I don't have resources really for a lawyer. I might consider it depending on how serious you all think it is. So, how serious is it really? I do think this is rather serious. I mean, it's clearly a breach of privacy and a violation of HIPAA laws. And as OP mentioned, the mother should be well aware of these, having worked in the healthcare industry. But I don't think it's serious enough, especially since OP resolved this conflict for herself. I don't think it's serious enough for her to pursue legal action on the behalf of others. That's a grand gesture, very kind of her to be thinking that way. But since she doesn't have the monetary funds for it. I don't think she should really put herself up to that to get some sort of class action lawsuit. That being said, the office workers, the doctors in this story, they are definitely in the wrong. They breached protocol, and I don't even know what their motive is. Just because they're friends with the mom, they want to give her the gossip about their daughter. I can only imagine if the pregnancy test came back positive and they broke the news. That is absolutely not the way that you want your parents to find out that you're pregnant. It's supposed to be, I mean, if things are planned and it's what you wanted, if you wanted a baby in the first place, it's supposed to be a moment of celebration that you get to choose when you share. So the fact that these doctors and office workers are going around OP's back to distribute this information without their express approval for no reason other than just to, spread the news and chat it up with their good old pal, the mother, there's no justification in that whatsoever. Story 3. Would I be the booty hole for planting prickly bushes in my front yard to keep the neighbor kids away? About a week after my post, I planted a wall of blackberries and raspberries at the two sides of my garden facing the driveway about 30 centimeters from the edge, so no overhanging branches. On the other side of the berry wall, I planted lots of stuff like strawberries and tomatoes. To reach the tomatoes and strawberries from the driveway, you have to either go through the fruit bushes or walk up to my house, walk about 2 meters along the side of the house and my windows, and then walk into my actual garden. Not something you do by mistake. For about 2 weeks, it was somewhat quiet, but I still found the kids on my driveway every single day. As far as I know, they did not enter the garden, and I hadn't noticed them walking around my house anymore, so I figured the bushes were working. About 1 week ago, berry season started, and my bushes are now full of raspberries, and there's lots of strawberries as well. The neighbors noticed. First, I caught the boys picking and eating raspberries, so I told them off and dropped them off at home, told their mom I caught them stealing, that's how I see it, even though it's fruit, and that I'd call the cops next time. She huffed and told me to grow up, but took the boys inside anyway. After that, it was quiet up until yesterday afternoon when I went out for a while and found the dad and his 2 sons right in the middle of my garden when I returned, clearing my bushes and plants. I didn't even confront them. I just called the cops from a distance as they hadn't noticed me yet and started filming them after making the call. Luckily, 2 cops showed up after 10 minutes or so and they confronted the neighbor as they were still picking berries. They told them they were trespassing and that the berry picking was, in fact, considered stealing, and that I could press charges. For the first time, I noticed a bit of fear in my neighbor. He was having trouble finding his words and kept looking back at his house, I guess hoping his wife would yell at the cops. They all went inside with the cops, so I just went home as well. After a while, the cops came by and asked me if I wanted to press charges. I asked them if they felt like they scared the neighbor enough to stay away. I got a small smile and yes about him, but the wife had just kept shouting at them, and her husband about the little witch living next door. I told them no for now, asked them if I'd be allowed to get an extra camera set up on the wall between my garden and the road to cover the entire front garden and driveway. They said that's allowed as long as it's on my side of the wall. So now I'm getting an extra camera installed. One neighbor knows I'm done messing around, but his wife isn't there yet, and if I ever catch any of them again, the cops will be called and possible charges will follow. No, not the a-hole. It's his property, and he is well within his rights to defend it and do whatever he pleases with it and all of the possessions that lie within his boundaries, so long as it doesn't infringe on anybody else's rights. And the cops have said just as much. So if he wants to plant some prickly little bushes to prevent some rascally neighbor kids from snatching at his raspberries, then by all means, go for it. I'm a fan of natural consequences, so we can just let this play out as it would naturally. And if he wants to be the farmer maggot from Lord of the Rings and protect his crops, then yeah, go for it. It's not like it's a Peter Rabbit, Farmer McGregor situation where it's just wild animals that are snatching your carrots. These are humans that should know better. So it's fortunate that he's got to take these precautions to really show them what's up, but I would guess that they learn their lesson pretty quick if they get a thorn in their thumb. Story 4. My mother thinks she is entitled to one of my properties. I haven't seen my mom since I was 16, and we were in court. So 19 years, I haven't had any contact with the mother. She hired a private investigator to find me, and I still refuse to talk to her. I even have my lawyer send her a formal letter of no contact and threaten her with a restraining order. She sent this email to me through my work email. I shortened it, but basically it said, "To my name. This is her name, your mother. I thought you would have matured by now and come and apologize to me and your father for what you put us through. Because of you, your father lost his teaching career, and we had to sell our house. However, it has come to my knowledge that you own some properties in my area, so it's only right if you give us one of them as an apology. One of my most expensive properties would be a good fit for us. As soon as you hand over the keys to property, we are finally able to start to heal and get past this misunderstanding that you have blown out of proportion. I hope you come to the right decision. Her name." I just can't stop laughing at this. Like, no, witch, I'm not giving you anything. This is just another bit of evidence to help me get a restraining order against her. Yeah, really not enough information in this story to make a call one way or the other on who's in the right and who's done what's wrong. I mean, there's no backstory whatsoever of what the daughter has done that the parents seem to think caused the father to lose his career. But it definitely, at least from the way OP is describing it, seems like the parents are claiming that they deserve some sort of restitution for this. But it's been 20 years without any contact, and I think by that point, they should just let sleeping dogs lie, move on with their lives. The fact that the parents are even reaching out to try to get something from the daughter, to me, just says that they're only in it for money and material things. They don't care about the relationship with the daughter, which I think just speaks volumes. So whatever she did in the past, I can't imagine it's, worth that kind of turmoil to dredge it all up and get into it with the parents. Just ignore them, keep pursuing that restraining order, and try to move on with your life best you can. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.